Okay, welcome everyone to our study of Nectar of Devotion. Today we're beginning lesson 4. First of all, a little revision. In the last class we spoke about the 6 characteristics of pure devotional service. Remember? 6 characteristics. So, Momo Prabhu, give us one.
One is cut the Sanskrit term, but it's to be free from all sinful reactions, distress.
Free of
Distress.
relief from distress. Right, relief from distress. What's the Sanskrit? Kleshakni. Right. All right. Next one, Prabhu. Shubhada. Auspiciousness, right? Beginning of auspiciousness. Then Moksha Lagutakrit. Meaning?
Gives liberation.
Huh?
Gives liberation.
Gives liberation. Derides liberation. Means not important. If you deride somebody, you know, it's no significance, no meaning, not very valuable. Because one who is doing devotional service is already liberated, so he doesn't care about it. So he derides even the conception of liberation. Moksha Lagutakrit. And then one more. Sudurlabha, meaning? Rarely achieved, right, rarely attained. Good. And then, Prabhu? Sandrananda Visheshatma, meaning? Puts one in inconceivably great transcendental pleasure. Now the pleasure, there's happiness in each of the... What are the three stages of devotional service? Sadhana, Bhakti, Bhava, Bhakti, and... Right. So, I didn't mention in the last class, I should have mentioned here. At what stage do they manifest? At what stage do we get this relief, this relief from distress and beginning of auspiciousness? That's sadhana bhakti. But what particular stage? Because there's different levels to remember. There's shraddha, ados shraddha, sadhu sangha, anartha nivritti, or bhajana kriya, anartha nivritti, nishtha, ruchi, asakti, bhava, prema. Right? So which level do we get this sadhana bhakti, relief from distress and beginning of auspiciousness? We should be nishtha. We should be at the level of nishtha to experience that. And for the other one, moksha lagutakrit and shudurlabha, that is bhava bhakti. So what level do we have to be to get that? We have to be bhava bhakti. We have to be at the level of bhava. We have to be, to get that, to experience those things, we should be at the level of bhava. And then Krishna Karshini and Sandrananda Visheshatma, Prema Bhakti, we have to be at the level of prema. You have to be on the level of Prema Bhakti to get that, to experience these things. So I didn't mention that in the last class, but you can note that. We find the term Klesh Agni, right? Klesha means distress and Agni means to get free. 4 kinds of effects of sin. 4 kinds of effects of sin. What are the 4 kinds of effects of sin? Kutam, Bijam, up. Okay. And then how devotional service has the power to nullify all kinds of sinful reactions with reference to appropriate analogies. Who can give an analogy about how devotional service nullifies all the sinful reactions?
Forest fire clears away all the serpents or the snakes.
All the snakes, what are the snakes like?
Snakes represent our material desires.
Ignorance, right? The ignorance. The root of sinful activities, ignorance. So the forest fire burns the snakes. Any other examples? The false ego. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Good. Okay. Then why devotional service is the best means of obtaining relief from distress? Yeah. Takes away not only the reactions from our past sins, but it takes away even the desire for sinful activities. Remember, the other processes, they may counteract sinful activities. We spoke about doing prayaschit, doing some atonement. You know, maybe you did some offense, you did something wrong, so you just, I'm going to do prayaschit, I'm going to fast, or I'm going to observe chaturmasya strictly, or I'm going to fast every Ekadasi, or some, but it won't take away the desire for sin. But if we do devotional service, then devotional service is so powerful, it takes out the root of desire for sinful activities. Okay, so we're going ahead. This is the second part about pure devotional service. It's all based in chapter 1 of the Nectar of Devotion. So here we have the 6 items, 6 characteristics of devotional service we mentioned. We're going to speak first about Shubhada, meaning all auspicious, the beginning of all auspiciousness. And there's the Sanskrit definition of Shubhada, not important for you. Right? You can see the relationship between the 3 levels of devotion and the 6 characteristics. With sadhana bhakti, there's 2 characteristics. Bhava bhakti, there are 4 characteristics. And prema bhakti, there are 6 characteristics. So first one, sarva jagatam prinanam, compassion for everyone. Krishna consciousness. We're meant to be compassionate for everyone. Some people, they may have compassion, they think about their community, or maybe they're nationalists, they have compassion for people of their own country. And we're compassionate for people who share our beliefs. But Krishna consciousness, one who's a devotee, should be compassionate for everyone, every living entity. We care about everyone. Anuraktata, attracts everyone. Krishna is all attractive. He attracts everyone. Not only the cows, all the birds, even the trees. Lord Chaitanya was in the jungle, the wild animals all came, danced with him. So Anurakta. Sadguna, bestows good qualities. Bestows good qualities. Prabhupada talks about how education is important. People spend a lot of money on education. Sometimes your parents may want to send you to a private school or to a better school, go to a better college. People who have money, who have big money, then they'll spend a lot of money to put their children into a better school, a good school, to get the better education. But it doesn't mean that they'll be actually better. And Prabhupada explains, he said, people join the Krishna consciousness movement, and they join the Krishna consciousness movement, and they all become vegetarian. They give up gambling and intoxication and illicit connection with the other sex. They develop all good qualities. Wake up early in the morning, taking early morning bath, washing their cloth every day, these kind of things. But people who go to universities, they go to big educational institutions, they're drunkards, womenizers, sex mongers, gamblers. They have all the worst habits. They're supposed to be educated, but they don't have good qualities. And Prabhupada also talks about sometimes people do yoga, hatha yoga. Prabhupada saw when he was in New York in 1960s, there was one yoga teacher there, and people would go and do yoga, and he would teach them to meditate, and he would say, meditate, now you are controlling the moon. And they would say, I am controlling the moon. Now you are controlling the sun. I am controlling the sun. It's so nonsense. And then after the yoga is over, then they go outside and they smoke cigarettes and they drink beer, and they, no standards at all. So yoga and education, material education, these things are complete failure in developing good qualities. You don't develop good qualities by getting this kind of education or going to these yoga schools. It's a farce. Nobody goes there to develop good qualities. But people who come to Krishna consciousness, they're automatically trained to develop the good qualities. Okay, so then Sukham bestows superior happiness. Everyone wants happiness. So, happiness of devotional service is so much greater than the happiness of sense gratification. Why? Temporary. Yeah, happiness of sense gratification is very temporary, right? Did you experience temporary pleasures? Have you?
I used to wake up late in the morning. Sense gratification.
Really?
Yeah.
And now?
After I came to my work, I tried to change my habit.
Okay.
I woke up in the morning.
Good. You get up in time for the 10:30 class, right? Get up by 10 o'clock. Come for the 10:30 class. So, yeah, material happiness is very temporary, very flickering. Supala sukha, all right? That's the happiness of the material world. But Krishna consciousness is eternal happiness. And our happiness is in relationship to Krishna, Krishna's service. The happiness of the material world is all based on the body, temporary. So these are the different items of why devotional service, sadhana bhakti, is the beginning of all auspiciousness. If something is actually shubhada, then they have to show compassion for everyone. Rupa Goswami does not reject anybody. Who can become a devotee? Can anybody become a devotee? Well, not for lazy people and not for crazy people. Right? Lazies and crazies are not wanted. But still we can give them mercy. We can give them prasadam. They can come and have some prasadam. Because Prabhupada was preaching in America in the 1960s and 70s. So even in that time, it must be much worse now, but even at that time there were so many crazy people. Really crazy people, because of the influence of big cities and drugs and things. So just so many crazy people. I mean, you can understand if you look at the news anytime, you can see the type of things which go on in America, the murders and the crimes, and there's just so many crazy people. They're just so mad, some of them. And so the level of sanity is just so amazing. It's so bad. Because of the material atmosphere, people become so insane. So we try to make people sane, try to bring people to a level of sanity. And if we can't, then just come and eat prasadam. But it will be difficult to bring them into Krishna consciousness. Then attracts everyone. And we do see when the Harinam party goes, then people are attracted. People are attracted to come and see Krishna, just like all the way out here in Mayapur. It's quite a distance from Calcutta. And people come all the way from Calcutta, and even from places much further away than Calcutta, people will come to visit Mayapur. And so that's the attractive nature of Krishna consciousness. And Krishna is all attractive, and people are attracted to come. They want to see Krishna. They want to take part in the program. They want to hear. So Krishna attracts. And then bestows good qualities. People have to change. You come to Krishna consciousness, there will be a change. You can't expect to be the same. We come to Krishna consciousness, sometimes the men would come with long hair and beards and everything. And so they have to shave up, cut all the hair off and shave the beard. And the women will come with the mini skirts and their hair all over the place, hanging down. That's not really what's wanted. So women also change. They learn to dress in a more refined, cultured manner. The material world, the women want to expose their body, but in the Vedic culture, women cover the body. So people change. They become different. You come to Krishna consciousness and just spend a little while in the association of devotees, and you change. Just like Manaji said, waking up early in the morning. You go home, people are up late all night watching movies or something, and then they sleep very late and then wake up very late in the morning. But you come to Krishna consciousness and you sleep early, wake up early. It's a different program. So there is a lot of change. And this is sadguna, developing the good qualities. And then the superior happiness. Of course, the pigs are also enjoying. The dogs are also enjoying. They're also doing their eating and sleeping and mating and defending. But we don't want that kind of enjoyment. We don't want to enjoy like the hogs and the dogs. We want the higher happiness. That is Krishna consciousness. So there's happiness in sadhana bhakti, there's happiness in bhava bhakti, and there is the greatest happiness in prema bhakti. The happiness increases. Sadhana bhakti is the beginning of this transcendental happiness. But you'll get more happiness at bhava bhakti, and you'll get the greatest happiness at prema bhakti. Okay? Read.
Compassion for everyone and attracts everyone. Srila Goswami has given a definition of auspiciousness. He says that actual auspiciousness means welfare activities for all the people of the world. The Krishna consciousness movement is so nice that it can render the highest benefit to the entire human race. Everyone can be affected by this movement and everyone can feel the result. Therefore, Guru Goswami and other learned scholars agree that the broad propaganda program for the Krishna consciousness movement of devotional service all over the world is the highest humanitarian welfare activity.
All right. This is Srila Prabhupada describing about Shubhada, how Krishna consciousness is all auspicious. It's beneficial for all humanity. So, people talk about humanitarian work. There's a great need for humanitarian work all over the world, especially now with the pandemic. So many people are suffering. And so devotees in different parts of the world are also trying to contribute, trying to do something to help people. Just like in Mayapur, they go out regularly, isn't it? Distribute prasadam. Different parts of the world, devotees are trying to do something to help. This is the verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, which describes about how a devotee will develop good qualities. One who is actually a devotee, they will develop good qualities. But somebody is not a devotee, it's mentioned, hara avabhaktasya. Abhaktasya means not a bhakta. So somebody is not a devotee, then even though he may be very expert in doing a lot of material things, like maintaining the family, or even performing mystic yoga, but if he's not a devotee, doesn't really have any good qualities. Why not? Because he's still under the modes of nature. Sometimes he's in goodness, sometimes he's in passion, sometimes he's in ignorance. You know, somebody may say, oh, I'm a good person, I don't need to chant Hare Krishna, I don't need to go to see deities, I don't need to go to temple, I'm a good person, I don't lie, I don't steal. He may say that. But he may say he's a good person. Sometimes he's a good person. But he's not pure goodness. Because he's not pure goodness. What is the nature of the modes of nature? You studied the Bhagavad Gita. The nature of the modes. There's always competition between the modes of nature. Sometimes the mode of goodness is prominent. Sometimes that goodness is conquered by passion, and sometimes that goodness is conquered by ignorance. Just like somebody may, I'm a good person, But then Saturday night comes, and he gets really in Maya, and he goes to, maybe go to the bar and drinks or something like this, Maybe it's a wedding party and there's a lot of alcohol and a lot of meat and eat all kinds of things. So a lot of ignorance comes also, even though a person is saying, I'm a good person. People generally think, everyone thinks, I'm a good person. Even the guy who's really bad, he's thinking, I'm a good person. And there was one person, he was a mass murderer. And his mother was saying, he was such a nice boy. Because the mother always thinks the son is very nice. But he was a mass murderer. Okay, so here's the translation. Who can read for us?
Sattva produces good qualities. All the demigods and their exalted qualities such as religion, knowledge, and initiation become manifest in the body of one who has never devotion to the Supreme or Vasudeva. On the other hand, the person devoid of devotion service and engaged in mythical activity has no good qualities. Even if he is adept at the practice of mystic yoga or the honest endeavor of maintaining his family and villages, he must be driven by his own mental speculations and must engage in the service of the Lord's external energy. How can there be any good quality in such a man?
So someone's a devotee, they have all the good qualities of the demigods. We may say, oh, I should worship, who will we worship? Mother Saraswati. She'll make me a good student or a good dancer, something. Right? Mother Saraswati, we worship. But if you worship Vishnu, Krishna, then you get the blessings of all the demigods. All the demigods will bestow their good qualities on the person who is a devotee of the Supreme Lord. Right? Because you're worshipping Krishna or Vishnu. He is the root. And all the demigods, what are they? The leaves and the branches, right? So you get the blessings of all the demigods by worshipping Krishna. You just have to worship Krishna and you get everything you want. And then one who is not a devotee, one who is an abhakta, who is not a devotee, has no good qualities. No good qualities. He may be good in mystic yoga or maintaining his family and relatives, but he's driven by his own mental speculations. And he's serving Krishna's external energy, serving the Maya. Sometimes he's in goodness, sometimes passion, sometimes. But one who is a devotee, the actual devotee, then they're free of the modes of nature. They're above the modes, right? From Bhagavad Gita, remember the verse? One who engages in my devotional service, they transcend the modes of nature, come to the level of Brahman, right? So one who is a devotee has all the good qualities. And somebody's not a devotee, no good qualities. Two kinds of people, the devotee and the demon. Yes? Mataji? Read.
Krishna conscious God, even if he is not very well educated by the university standard, can immediately give up all illicit sex stuff, gambling, meat eating, and intoxication, whereas those who are not in Krishna consciousness, although very highly educated, are often drunk bags, meat eaters, sex smokers, and gamblers.
These
are practical proofs of how a Krishna conscious person becomes highly developed in good qualities, whereas a person who is not in Krishna consciousness cannot do so.
Is it true? No. No, we have experience. You go to the universities, so many of the students, they have drug problems, they have drinking problems, they have their love affair problems. They're being educated in the premier educational institutes, but they have all the worst qualities. Then, regarding happiness, the Krishna consciousness, one of the items of this beginning of all auspiciousness is happiness. This Sukham bestows superior happiness. Happiness derived from pure devotion is the highest. One reason because it is eternal, as you said, right? That's one reason. Mayavadi sannyasis, they go to the material platform again. The Mayavadi sannyasis, they may renounce the material world and they come to the level of Brahman. They say the world is not real, they give up the world and they go away from the world. But then after some time, then they come back to the world. They come back and engage in some material activities. Because they don't have any practical engagement on the spiritual platform. They don't know what are spiritual activities. They think stop all activities. So they don't understand that there are material activities and spiritual activities. A devotee engages in spiritual activities. But Mayavadis, they don't know that there's such a thing as spiritual activity. And there's no difference between mystic perfection and material perfection. Mystic perfection means to get the yoga powers, yoga siddhis. It's another material perfection. Why? Who can explain? What are some of the yoga siddhis? Yes?
Material scientists have dug tunnels and they go to subway, they can enter to stone. Another example is they can walk on water. Like you gave an example like Prabhupada said, you can pay 2 rupees to a boat and you can walk across the ocean.
Yes. The perfections which you get by the yoga siddhis, they have been achieved by science and technology. Just like I want to talk to my friend in America. How will I do it? By mental power? No, just get a mobile phone and you get a WhatsApp connection and you can call America and talk to. And so you don't need to become a great telepathic mystic yogi. We want to fly. The Maharishi they were teaching people how to fly. So, okay, fly. Go and buy the airplane ticket and go on the airplane, fly. You don't have to spend so many years trying to learn to get some yoga power. Prabhupada said he met the one man. Man asked him, said, what kind of fruit do you like? And Prabhupada said, oh, I like pomegranates. So the man said, oh, pomegranates. He said, the best pomegranates grow in Kabul. He said, I will bring you one just now. The man held out his hand, and then a pomegranate appeared in his hand. And the man gave it to Prabhupada. So this is one kind of yoga siddhi, that they can produce something from a faraway place. But we can also do that. You go to the market, you can buy things in the market. This is from Kabul, this is from China, this is from here, this is from there. And so you don't need to spend so much time to get these mystic perfections, because it's already there. Yoga perfections, Prabhu was saying, become very heavy, or you can become very light, like a feather. So we can do all this. You go in the airplane's flying in the sky. So no difference between material perfection and mystic perfection. And one can derive great amounts of temporary happiness by achieving yoga materialistic perfection. So temporary happiness. You get some temporary happiness by yoga perfection. You get the some people will do great austerities to try to get these yoga powers. Right? In China they have a thing called Qigong. Remember the Qigong people? They all want to get some power. They wanted to have the yoga power to control people. So this has been there for thousands of years. In India also, they have the yoga powers, the yoga siddhis. People want to get these perfections. And if they can get that power, then they can control other people's minds. They become powerful. So some kind of happiness is there for them to get this kind of power. Sorry. Wait. The happiness derived from devotional service in Krishna consciousness is so transcendental and so unlimited that there's no other happiness to compare to. The other happiness is very limited and temporary. And this is a prayer offered by Prahlad Maharaj to Lord Nrsingadev. Maharaji, can you read for us? Right? Prahlad Maharaj is saying the happiness from Krishna consciousness is greater than the happiness from these, what is called the purushas, the material desires, religiousness. People practice dharma, they practice religiosity, looking to get happiness, to get some prosperity, to get some material success. So people are often religious for that motive. So dharma, and then economic development, artha, sense gratification, kama, and liberation, moksha. So dharma, artha, kama, moksha. The four goals of material life. People trying, this is like their goal for their prosperity in the material world. But Prahlad Maharaj is saying, the happiness from these things, nothing compared to Krishna consciousness, compared to the happiness of devotional service. So Prahlad said, I don't want that. I don't need that other kind of happiness. Well, he's saying one can have all the other perfection. You get everything. If you become Krishna conscious, then all of these other things are included in Krishna consciousness. Just like if you have 1 lakh rupees, you have 100,000 rupees. It includes 50,000 rupees. It includes 20,000 rupees. It's all included within the 1 lakh. So one who has Krishna consciousness, who has pure devotion, he gets the results of all of these other things automatically. You don't have to try for it. You just have to be Krishna conscious. You just have to be a good devotee, and you will get all the results of dharma, artha, kam and moksha. It all comes easily to the devotee without any effort. Bestows superior happiness. Afam. Yes. So, we don't say there is no happiness in material enjoyment. There is happiness there. There is happiness in material enjoyment, but it is not very great, and it is very temporary. And there is more happiness in identifying with the Brahman. Right? You identify with the Brahman. I am Brahman. Aham Brahmasmi. I am Brahman. There's some happiness there. At least there's no suffering. There's relief from the suffering of the material body because you're detached from the body. You know yourself to be a soul. So the nature of the soul is to be happy. Anand, right? So the happiness of Brahman is greater than material happiness. But the highest happiness comes in Krishna consciousness, when we connect with Krishna through devotional service. So 3 levels of happiness. What level of happiness do you want? You want happiness like the dogs and hogs? No? You sure? I hope so. I hope you're sure. Yeah. We don't want to be like even the dogs and hogs. They're happy. They're thinking, I'm happy. You know the story. Indra was cursed to become a pig, and he was a pig, and he was a pig, and then the guru came. Brihaspati came, he said, okay, you've been a pig long enough. He said, no, you come back. And Indra said, no, I'm happy here. I have my pig family. And we get our pig food every day. And he was a big fat pig. Yeah. And he had so many little piglets. He said, all my piglets are here, all my children, my pig wives. I don't want to come back with you. So Guru said, okay, just wait a minute. I'll go and get the butcher. So butcher came with a big knife. He said, where's that big fat pig? So Indra was, okay, take me back with you. But Indra, the point is, even the pig is in such a horrible existence. They're thinking, I'm happy. I'm enjoying. The jackals are thinking, I'm enjoying. Every night you hear the jackals, and you're thinking, we're having a good time here. Everybody's asleep, we run around, we can enjoy. All these humans, they're all sleeping. And they're happy, they're thinking, they're enjoying. And so there's happiness, all different levels. But the highest happiness is in Krishna consciousness, to understand our spiritual nature. So happiness derived from Krishna consciousness is superior because, first of all, because it is eternal, whereas the others are temporary. And it includes and excels the pleasure found in other types of happiness. So much greater happiness is there in Krishna consciousness. Much greater. Yeah, we also eat, but we don't eat like the pig. I hope. We also sleep. We don't sleep like the pigs, like the dogs. No, we're getting happiness. Happiness is there. Devotees' happiness. Prabhupada said this movement is simply for recreation only. Chanting, dancing, and feasting. So this movement is just a recreation. Of course, we don't get so much with the pandemic on. We're not getting so much chanting and dancing, but that's temporary. That's not. In some parts of the world, devotees are still chanting and dancing, although it's somewhat suppressed here. In Mayapur just now and other places, it's suppressed, but other parts of the world, devotees are still, many places, the devotees are still chanting and dancing. They go out every day, Harinam Sankirtan. Even though they have pandemic, it's depend on Krishna. Okay, now moksha laguta krit. Meaning? What's the meaning? Marriage? Marriage? Moksha laguta krit means? We don't care for liberation, right? We deride. Somebody, you deride somebody. You don't care for them. Yeah, you're not interested in them. So those in pure devotional service, remember this nectar of devotion is all about pure devotional service. So those in pure devotional service, they deride even the conception of liberation. Some quotations to help us understand how we can deride liberation. Now, I said for Mayavadis, the monists, the impersonal, their goal is liberation. They want to know, are you liberated? When Lord Chaitanya was in Benares, all the Mayavadi sannyasis were there, and when they saw Lord Chaitanya, Lord Chaitanya went to the program in the Brahmana's house, and Lord Chaitanya displayed an effulgence. His body became very effulgent, and all the Mayavadi sannyasis thought, oh, he's already got liberation. They thought, he's achieved the moksha. They had great respect for him, because they thought, no, he's liberated. So their goal is to get that moksha. One devotee was chanting, and they said, Prabhupada, when I chant, I see a light. What did Prabhupada say?
Keep chanting.
Huh?
Keep chanting.
Keep chanting, it will go away. Prabhupada was, we're not interested just to see the light. We want to go through the light When you study the Ishopanishad, you'll read in the Ishopanishad, Haranmayena patrena satyasya pitam mukam satyan pusyana pavano satya dharmaya dristate. Meaning is that we go through the light and we will see the effulgence. We don't want to just see the effulgence, we want to see the form where the effulgence is coming from. Your real face is covered by your dazzling effulgence. Kindly remove that effulgence and exhibit yourself to your pure devotee. That's the prayer in the Sri Ishopanishad. So impersonalists, they're attracted by the light. They stop at the light. But we want to go through the light to see the person. We're not interested in just liberation. They give the example when the first train came. When the first train came, people all wanted to see the train, never seen a train before. And some people came and they saw the light. They just simply saw light in the distance and they thought, oh, that's a train. And they went home. They just simply saw the light on the front of the train. You know, it was dark at night and they put the light on the front of the train. So the people, they saw the light on the front of the... Oh, that's a train. And they all went home. They thought the train was a light. But other people, they waited, they saw the train come in the station and they saw the actual train. You know the story of the blind man? Massaged the elephant. Anren Mosham. You know? Right? The man is holding the leg of the elephant. What's it like? Like a tree, yeah? The leg of it. I said, what's it like? It's like a tree. A man is at the side of the elephant. What's it like? A wall. Someone's got the tail like a broom. Someone who's got that tusk. What's it like? Yeah. And somebody's got that big trunk of the elephant like a pipe or something. Yeah? So, are they wrong? No, they're right, but they're only describing one part of the elephant. You have to put all the parts together to get the description of the elephant. So the same way, Brahman is one part of the Absolute Truth. And Paramatma is another part of the Absolute Truth. But the full realization of the Absolute Truth is... Yes, Bhagavan, right? Bhagavan. So there's Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan, right? Three, remember there's confidential truth, more confidential, and most confidential. Did you study that in Bhagavad Gita? Yeah. So, confidential knowledge, knowledge of Brahman. More confidential knowledge, knowledge of Paramatma. Most confidential knowledge. So, deride the conception of liberation. Because liberation means only brings you to the level of Brahman. Devotees not so much anxious to just come to the level of Brahman. Right?
Ordinary people are very excited with the concept of Mahasamadhi. And the yogis say that you will not with the cosmos and they will be liberated. So they don't give the destination and they just say that you will not with the cosmos.
Merge with the cosmos.
Yes. So what to say if they ask us that is liberation?
Well, this cosmos is temporary. So what's going to happen when this cosmos is destroyed? At the end of the... And when it comes time for the annihilation, the life of Brahma is over, then there's the annihilation of the cosmos. So what's going to happen to all the living entities who are merged? And you're going to merge in the cosmos What are you going to do there? What are you going to do merged in the cosmos? Is there going to be any activity there? Are you going to have any relationship there? Are you going to be very happy there?
The yogis say that you'll be happy.
They're thinking their happiness is very short. Be happy there for, at least there's no suffering. No suffering there, but there's no real happiness. They do not know what is real happiness. So that happiness of becoming one with the cosmos, that is it's temporary. And it denies the nature of the soul, because the nature of the soul, as described in the Bhagavad Gita, is that nobody can be idle, not even for a moment. All men are forced to act helplessly due to the impulses born of the modes of nature. The nature of our soul is to be active, and the nature of our soul is to enjoy relationships and to enjoy variety. You know, we'll put you in a room and we'll leave you in the room all on your own, right? And in the room there's nothing, right? You're going to be in that room, nothing. And nobody's going to bother you, nobody's going to speak to you, you know. You may think, oh, very nice. I won't argue with anybody, I won't have any hang-ups, I won't have any problems. How long will you be happy in that room, on your own? Nobody to talk to, you won't know what to do. You're just going to be there, and you can just chant, Aham Brahmasmi. I'm not the body. I'm one with the universe. I am the universe. You won't stay there long. You'll be saying, let me out, let me out. So the same way people may get that kind of liberation, enter into the universe, they become one with the universe. They can become one for some time. They won't stay there forever. Because their nature of the soul is to be active, and we do want relationships. We do want variety. But if you deny these things, it is artificial. So they come back to the material world. All right, derides the conception of liberation. Who hasn't read for us yet? All right? Just like if you follow Mamata Banerjee, you know, if you're in her entourage, you know, wherever she goes, you know, then, you know, she enjoys facilities. You know, she's the chief minister. So naturally, wherever she goes, you know, she enjoys the facilities. Everywhere in Bengal, at least anyway, she will enjoy all the facilities because she's the most important person in Bengal. And everybody who's with her, they will enjoy too, with her, right? So here it's talking about the queen and the maidservants. The queen has her maidservants and attendees. You know, she has the people, just like Mamata Banerjee or any other big person, big woman. You know, they will have people, they'll tell her what to dress, they'll arrange, you know, you carry this, you put on this, you wear this, and, you know, different things, you know. So, it's mentioned here, the queen and all of her maidservants, they enjoy all the joys, all the pleasures, again mentions religion, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation. The goals of life, the Purusha Arthas, the 4 goals of life: religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation. This is the Vedic culture. So you get all of these things. They follow devotional service. It's all included. We don't have to worry about being religious. We don't have to worry about economic development. And we don't have to think about sense gratification or liberation. These things are naturally arranged for anyone who is a devotee. Then Sudurlabha. Pure devotional service is rarely achieved. Right? Who's going to read? Who hasn't read? Did you read yet? Yeah? Did you read? Okay, back to the man. Momo.
Cannot be achieved by one's own efforts. In the preliminary phase of the spiritual life, there are different kinds of austerities, penances, and similar processes for attaining self-realization. But all such endeavors can hardly offer any devotional service to the Lord. Not even if one tries to work by such processes after many, many thousands of efforts.
So there are different kinds of austerities and penances for self-realization. You want to become self-realized. You can do it different ways. But these different things which you may do, the austerities and the penances, these different things, this is not devotional service. You don't get devotional service so easily. Devotional service is rare, right? Remember Bhagavad Gita? Out of thousands among men, how many are endeavoring for perfection? Huh? Very few. And of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows Krishna in truth. Right? Which chapter in the Bhagavad Gita? Krishna rarely awards it. Krishna rarely awards devotional service. Why? Why do you think he rarely awards it? Yeah? Yes. Yeah. Krishna becomes controlled by his devotee. Krishna becomes conquered by the love of his devotee. He, Krishna, rarely agrees to offer a soul devotional service because by devotional service the Lord himself becomes purchased by the devotee. Can you give an example where Krishna became purchased by his devotee? Huh? What? Well, tell more. Speak more. What do you mean? Yashoda Maya, Arjuna. What did Yashoda Maya and Arjuna?
She was able to guide Krishna with his love.
Yashoda Maya was able to bind up Krishna with her rope because she had pure love. Yes, and? Yes, Krishna became the chariot driver for Arjuna. Well, to be the chariot driver means to become the servant of Arjuna. But Krishna is the Supreme Lord. But Krishna comes as his chariot driver. So these are examples. Any other examples?
Krishna used to play with these covered boys. They used to climb over the beating them now. You have to take us.
Okay.
It was subdivision.
Cowherd boys would sometimes defeat Krishna.
Vrindavan had orders Krishna to bring his shoes.
Krishna would carry Nanda Maharaj's shoes on his head. Huh? Prabhu?
That is the first time that Krishna was with Rukmini and none of them came to visit him. Then Krishna washed his feet.
Krishna washed Narada Muni's feet. Krishna also became messenger for Maharaj Yudhisthira. Before the battle of Kurukshetra, they wanted to try to prevent the battle. They thought it's not good, they're fighting, so many people are going to die. Let's try make a last attempt to get peace. So Krishna came with the letter and he brought it to Dhritarashtra, and they're appealing to Dhritarashtra, let's settle this up without having a war. But Duryodhana was there, and Duryodhana was saying, no, we have to have war, we have to fight. And then when Krishna was trying to leave, Duryodhana tried to capture Krishna. He tried to arrest Krishna, but that time Krishna then took his universal form. So Duryodhana couldn't capture Krishna. But Krishna took that, he became the messenger on behalf of Maharaj Yudhisthira. He took the message there. So these are some examples how Krishna takes care of his devotee. Krishna is always concerned for his devotee. We know he became the sari for Draupadi. And then that time Durvasa Muni came there to Draupadi's place. When they'd all taken food, Krishna had to come running, and Krishna had to be given some little turmeric leaf, tamarind leaf from the rice, and Krishna took that little leaf and Krishna felt satisfied, and then Durvasa Muni and all of his disciples, they were also satisfied. So many ways Krishna was obliged to his devotees. So Krishna does not give that pure devotion to everyone. So, can we not get pure devotion very easily? Or do you think, where do we get devotion from? Huh? From the devotee, yes. That Krishna's devotee is more merciful than Krishna. Prabhupada is giving all of us devotion. We want devotion, you get devotion from the devotee. One who is a devotee, they will have bhakti. So, please give me some of your bhakti. Right? We want bhakti, get it from the devotee.
If there is somebody that's in that state of pure love for God, but then they fall down because of delusion, is Krishna still obliged to be purchased by that devotee, by that fallen devotee? Will we go after him eternally?
Yeah. Actually, devotee, they may fall down, but they won't fall down for long. Just like Bharat Maharaj, there was this one Bharat Maharaj, he had renounced everything and he'd gone to the mountains, and somehow he became attached to a deer, and then he forgot his practice and he was just taking care of the deer, and he fell down the cliff and died, and he became a deer in his next life. but he remembered his previous life. So he could remember his previous life, that he'd been a great king and he'd renounced everything to go to the Himalayas, and then he'd become careless and he forgot about his spiritual practice, and he got attached to an animal, a deer, to take the body of a deer for one lifetime. So he was very careful after that. So Krishna arranges. Actually, devotees, I quoted yesterday, Api Chit Sudaracharo, even though they may perform the most simply, they quickly become righteous and attain lasting peace. Right? Krishna purifies them. So, Krishna becomes purchased by the devotee. We see Yasya Prasada, Bhagavad Prasado, Yasya Prasad Nagatito. Right? What's the meaning? You don't know that song? You don't sing that song? You know, you people, usually the Bhakti Sastri is done by people who are all getting ready for second initiation. And you people come, you're not even first initiated. And many of the things you don't know, like that, the things the morning songs which we sing, Guru Vastika. Do you ladies know? Apa? Nitidama? Huh? You don't remember all? Oh, okay. Do you know, you two ladies at the back? Do you know? Guru Vastika? Huh? You sing it? You know the last verse? Yasya Prasada Bhagavad Prasado Yasya Prasad Nagatikitopi. You know the meaning? What? Right. Yes, by the mercy of the spiritual master, you get the mercy of Krishna. Without the mercy of the spiritual master, you won't get the mercy of Krishna. There will only be havoc on the path of. So you should always remember the spiritual master 3 times a day, offer obeisance. So, spiritual master is more merciful than Krishna. He gives the mercy of Krishna. Krishna rarely gives pure devotion. Because Krishna, why I want to have so much trouble, I have to go and take care of all these people, I have to provide for all them, take care of them all, look after them. But Krishna's devotee, he makes arrangements. He gives the mercy of Krishna. So it's an important point. Bhava Bhakti. Okay. Sandrananda Vishesh Atma. Maybe before we do this, we'll take a break. Let's have a time to break, 10 to 12. We'll go on 10 minutes. Yagna, the devotees have to write a open book essay? Huh?
Yes, sir.
Huh?
Good question, Mr. Bhakti. Yeah.
2.
Yeah.
Can I pick them? Any of these questions? You know? So Hare Krishna, you have to write some open book assignments for this course. So Yagnath Prabhu is saying you have to do 2 questions from this unit on the open book assessment questions. Right? Did you write essays for the Bhagavad Gita?
Yes, sir.
Yeah? Did you like that? So you can do the first question. Question number 1. In your own words, explain the definition of pure devotional service with reference to the Svarupa and Tatastha Lakshana. Prabhupada's comments, examples, and appropriate specific Sanskrit words. So number 1. And the other one we want you to do number 8. we haven't done it yet, but we'll cover it later. Describe the significance of the 5 most important items of sadhana bhakti with reference to chapters 12 and 13 of Nectar of Devotion. Discuss in your own words practical ways you could improve your practice of the 5 most important items of sadhana bhakti. I thought that would be a practical question for you. Right? You can think how you can improve your practice of devotional service. Alright, Prabhus? So question number 1 and question number 8. Alright, so Sandra Nandana Visheshatma puts one in transcendental pleasure. Srila Rupa Goswami says, if Brahmanda, or the happiness of becoming one with the Supreme, is multiplied by 1 trillion fold, it still cannot compare to an atomic fraction of the happiness derived from the ocean of devotional service. Right? So the happiness of becoming one, you were talking about this, right? You were asking, people want to become one with the Brahmanda. Brahmananda, the Brahmanda means the universe. One with the universe. You want to become one with the universe. There's some tiny pleasure there. But even if it's multiplied by 1 trillion fold, you know, 1 trillion, there's a million, and then there's a billion, and then there's a trillion. So it's a big number. You multiply it by 1 trillion, and still it doesn't equal even an atomic fraction of the happiness of devotional service. So that's a statement from the scriptures. There's some happiness in becoming one. At least there's no suffering anymore. But the real happiness, the actual happiness, the pleasure, is very insignificant. Looking at different levels of happiness. We heard about in sadhana bhakti. In sadhana bhakti, there is shubhada. Shubhada, there's some happiness there. Superior to happiness of sense gratification or liberation. So some happiness is there in sadhana bhakti. Then moksha laguta krit, bhava bhakti. Speaking about bhava bhakti now. So a more advanced devotee, he's not just a sadhana bhakta, he's a bhava bhakta. Minimizes the value of sense gratification or liberation. Minimizes the value of sense gratification. Very, very insignificant. No meaning. Because but then the highest happiness comes in prema bhakti. Sandrananda Vishesh Atma. So incalculably superior that one cannot even perceive the existence of sense gratification or liberation. Cannot even perceive that happiness because there's just so much pleasure in prema bhakti. He's so absorbed. He doesn't even think about the happiness of sense gratification. So that is the highest happiness. Did we give out, did you send the notes to everybody? Yagna? Did you send the outlines? No? Today you'll send, okay. So Yagna Prabhu is going to send all of you to your emails the outlines for each of these classes, and you'll see all of this. It's all mentioned in the outlines. Okay, so the happiness is so much greater in Prema Bhakti. There's happiness in Sadhana Bhakti, there's greater happiness in Bhava Bhakti, and the greatest happiness comes in Prema Bhakti. Right? Now we're going to speak about Sri Krishna Karshini, the only means to attract Krishna. Krishna is known as, what's Krishna's another name for Krishna? Huh? Yeah, but the Madan is Cupid, right? And Krishna is Madan Mohan, meaning? Huh? We are controlled by Cupid, right? Cupid fires his arrow in you. You're finished. Right? But Krishna, he is, well, Cupid is Mohan, right? And Krishna is called Madan Mohan, meaning one who, huh? One who, he can attract Cupid. He can conquer Cupid. He conquers Cupid. Cupid conquers us, but Krishna conquers Cupid. But what's Radharani called? Madan Mohan Mohini, meaning? Huh?
Conqueror of Krishna.
One who can attract Krishna, yes. Yes? Madan Mohan Mohini. She is the conqueror of Cupid. So, Srimati Radharani represents the Ladini Shakti, the pleasure potency of Lord Krishna. So she is the manifestation of Krishna's internal potency. And it is Radharani who can attract Krishna. If we want to please Krishna, if we want to get the mercy of Krishna, then people in Vrindavan, they go through Radharani. They will all approach Srimati Radharani. And Prabhupada said, if Radharani will introduce you to Krishna, then certainly Krishna will accept you. So that's one way to approach Krishna. You go through Srimati Radharani. And if she will introduce you to Krishna, if she will tell Krishna, this is a very nice devotee, then Krishna will think, oh, really? Krishna will take notice. So, we need to get the mercy of Srimati Radharani. Prabhupada's father would always ask the guests who came to his house, said, please bless my son to get the blessings of Radharani. That Radharani will bless him. Please bless my son that he will get the blessings of Radharani. So, attracts Krishna. Prabhu?
To perform devotional service means to follow in the footsteps of Radharani. And devotees in Vrindavana put themselves under the care of Radharani in order to achieve perfection in their devotional service. So, being directly under the control of the internal potency of Krishna, devotional service attracts even Krishna himself.
Yeah. Devotional service attracts Krishna. Krishna is all attractive, but he's attracted to devotional service. And the personification of devotional service is Srimati Radharani. The great souls, the Mahatmas, are under the protection of the divine energy. Mahatmanas tamam parta devim prakritim ashrita. Right? The great souls, they're under the protection of the divine energy. The divine energy, this is Krishna's internal potency. The Mahatmas are under the protection of the divine energy because they're fully engaged in devotional service. So when we are engaged in devotional service, then Krishna is very eager to protect that devotee, to take care of that devotee. So all the devotees in Vrindavan, they put themselves under the care of Srimati Radharani. They follow the gopis. Gopi Bhartu Pada Kamalor Das Anudas. Right? Anudas. So the devotee thinks himself to be the servant of the servant of the servant of the gopis of Braja. Right? Before we go on the altar to offer arti, we have to recite a prayer to purify ourselves, to put ourselves into the proper consciousness to worship the Lord. And the prayer is that I am not a Brahman or a Kshatriya or a Vaishya or a Sutra. And I am not a Brahmachari or a Grihastha or a Vanaprastha or a Sannyas. But I am what? I am simply the servant of the servant, many times the servant of that one Supreme Lord who is fulfilling all the desires of the gopis of Braja. So Gopi Bhartu follow in the footsteps of the gopis. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has that mood, and all the followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they follow in the footsteps of the gopis. And the chief of the gopis is Srimati Radharani. So devotees pray like that to Radharani. And that attracts Krishna. Yeah? Which book to go through? Nectar of Devotion. This book. You're doing the right book. This book. This will teach you how to follow the gopis. You will learn everything about pure devotion from this book. Just keep reading. So 6 characteristics. Little review. Klesh Agni. Relief from material distress. Material distress. 3 causes. Who remembers? Avidya. What else? Huh? What? Bijam. Okay, bijam. Yeah, bija or bijam. Bija or bijam. It's meaning it's the seed. And what comes before the bija? Kutam. Yeah, the kutam. The bijam, before the bijam comes the kutam. Kutam means the proclivity, the interest in. So 3 causes. Papam, bijam and avidya. Right? These are the 3 causes of distress. Avidya, the root cause. And then material desires. Avidya, ignorance means avidya. So ignorance, material desires, and then sinful activities. Or sinful, we put there sinful reactions. The cause of material distress, the reactions from the sinful activities. And then Shubhada, all auspicious, 4 qualities. First was compassion for everyone. And then second was all attractive, yeah. And then third one, good qualities. And the fourth one, happiness, right. Bestows superior happiness. Then moksha laguta krit, derives the concept of liberation. Sudurlabha, rarely achieved. Why? Why is it rarely achieved? Huh?
Krishna doesn't accept him that easily.
Why? Why so difficult to get Krishna's mercy?
Because he becomes purchased by
Yes, because he becomes purchased by the devotee. You want to be purchased by someone? Would you like to be purchased like an animal by someone, you know? I purchased you. You belong to me now. Stand over there. Keep quiet. Don't say anything. You know? Like that, you know. Could you imagine being purchased by someone? No, couldn't do it, right? Difficult. But Krishna becomes purchased by his devotees. Isn't it true? Yeah? You like to be purchased by someone? Huh?
The spiritual master.
Yeah, spiritual master, right. You should be purchased by the spiritual master. Should be. We should think of ourselves like that. I'm the sold out animal of the spiritual master. So, anyway, so durlabha, rarely achieved. Cannot be achieved by our own efforts. And secondly, Krishna rarely awards it. Then Sandrananda Vishesh Atma, inconceivably, incalculably condensed bliss. So this, you know, condensed, just like condensed milk, you know, condensed milk, very thick, you know, creamy milk. So this is condensed bliss. It's not just bliss, it's condensed bliss. So very special, the highest pleasure. And then Sri Krishna Karshini only means to attract Krishna because under the control of the internal potency of Krishna. So Krishna's internal potency, the spiritual potency, under Krishna's control. All right, you want to do this? A short drama illustrating some interesting aspects of your group's given characteristic. I don't think we'll do that. We don't have a lot of time. We'll just go ahead. Examine the 6 characteristics of pure devotional service. Right? At what stage does the sadhana bhakti develop? At what stage does sadhana bhakti develop? Nishta. Nishta means? Nishta means? Fixed. Right? Very fixed. Very fixed in the regulative principles. Very fixed. To do your hearing and chanting.
The seed for, like the seed of desire for sinful activities, did you say that they get like erased and maybe like when a person comes to Nishta and previously they're like, I'm just trying to understand according to stages. oh no, coming from Shraddha and all the way to Prema. So for the seeds of desire for sinful activities, I'm just wondering if it has to do with that too. For at some point, like if they do like gradually get erased as one comes to the higher stages, or it starts from Nishta, let's say, and before that they are not erased. I'm just trying to.
Yeah, when you get to Nishta, then the material desires are all they're removed at Anartha Nivritti. When you're at Anartha, all the anarthas, the unwanted things in the heart, they're removed. So before you get to Nishta, you have to go through Anartha Nivritti, the removal of the unwanted things from the heart. Right. Otherwise you won't get to Nishta. Yeah, he was at Baba stage, but somehow he left the Baba stage. He got involved with the deer, right? Because he didn't have association. He didn't have association with devotees to help him, to protect him. So he got into trouble. So even at the Baba stage, there can be some fall, there's some possibility of fall down. It can happen, even though you may come to that Baba stage. But generally, once we get to the stage of Nishta, then the anarthas are very, very much less. Practically, they're all gone. But still, something may be there, some trace of something. And must have been something there in Bharat Maharaj. You got difficulty.
Is it a completely linear thing? Like, for example, someone's in Nishka, and they don't have proper, they don't maintain proper association, and they go back and forth. But is it that once they reach Nishka, no one will do
Who?
it? If someone is in Nishka,
Uh-huh.
but they're not able to maintain association, but they might slip. But is it that one can go back and forth?
Well, yes, I mean, it's always possible, because they're at Nishta. It doesn't mean they're completely free. You have to take care. You still have to take care not to deviate from the regulated principles and from the path of Bhakti. So just coming to Nishta doesn't mean that you're completely free of everything. You have to be cautious, because Krishna's energy, Maya, is very subtle. He's always thinking to trap us, to see how pure are we, how sincere are we. So there's always sometimes some traces are there. Right? We say eradicated almost to nil. Right? So some trace of desire to enjoy the material world can still be in the heart. And we may come back. So one has to be cautious in the path of just coming to Nishta. You're steady, but you still have to go on. Yes?
Is it correct to understand that, like this example, if you are very Nishta, you fall down, but in this life, since you pick up where you left off, you can very quickly go back to where you were.
Yes.
You progress.
Right, yeah. Whatever progress you've made, you don't lose it, but just it's suspended and just delayed for some time. But whatever progress you made is never lost. It's just delayed. You get suspended for some time. You're not able to go on. So that can happen. Okay, so at what stage does one develop Bhava Bhakti? At the stage of Bhava. What stage does one develop Prema Bhakti? At the stage of Prema. Mood and mission. Discussed how the Krishna consciousness movement performs the highest welfare activity. How does it do that? How are we performing the highest welfare activity?
We're going to the root of sin, root, destroying ignorance.
Yeah. Some,
We are not only doing welfare activity for the body, but ultimately we are saving the soul for not taking work again.
yeah, but this is in relation to Prabhupada's mood and mission. We're thinking more about giving Krishna consciousness everywhere, to everyone, without discrimination. Lord Chaitanya said, every town and village, right? Nagor odigram. Right? Pritiviti achiyat nagor odigram. Sarvatra prachar hoibe moranam. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu predicted the holy name would be heard in every town and village all over the world. Who's going to do it? This is the Krishna consciousness movement. This is the welfare activity. To go everywhere and distribute Krishna consciousness and give the program, give out Krishna consciousness, give the holy name, give prasadam, give association, give books and so on. This is a welfare activity. This is a real welfare activity. Distributing love of God to everyone without discrimination, without considering who's qualified and who's not. Right? And Rupa Goswami, this is Rupa Goswami's vision. And Lord Chaitanya wanted this, he predicted this, and Srila Prabhupada fulfilled the desire of Rupa Goswami and Lord Chaitanya by establishing the Krishna consciousness movement all over the world, international society. Right? Concluding quote. He remained with those royal brothers, being attracted by their devotion, by their friendship, and by their love. Talking about Lord Krishna and his relationship with the Pandavas. That is the proof of how great this process of devotional service is. It can attract even the Supreme Personality of Godhead. God is great, but devotional service is greater than God because it attracts Him. People who are not in devotional service can never understand what great value there is in rendering service to the Lord. Okay? Srila Prabhupada, okay, we'll go ahead. We've got more time. We'll do a bit more because there's 11 lessons and we only have so many days. So I've tried to put this next lesson in. It will help us a bit, save time. So that was lesson 4. Right, we're going to go on to lesson 5. There are sometimes mistakes in the book. This was a letter just to discuss, was it right? There's something in the book. So he asked, almost mature. The following sentence seems to be imperfectly edited. Those effects described as almost mature refer to the distress from which one is suffering at present. And Bhanu Swami replies, an obvious mistake. The whole passage does not have much meaning. Better just forget about it and take the progress as. The progress as aparada, kutam, bija and parabda or phalanmukha. Right? 4 stages of sinful reaction. Remember? Aparada, kuta, bija, parabda. Since all the terms are vague, such as not yet fructified, before bearing fruit, would imply much later than bija, seed. And almost mature and already mature would appear to be close to each other, but are actually at the extremes. So, some of the difficulty in understanding this section is certainly when we first used to read it, I spent a lot of time trying to understand it. It's not very clear, not very perfect. So I should try to get the points right. The sequence is important, mentioned here. The sequence is aparabda, kutam, bija, parabda. The 4 stages. Right? Okay. Revision. Okay, we did that. Okay, who remembers the verse? Any ladies remember this verse? Marriages. Who knows this verse? The whole verse, without looking at your book. Yes, go ahead. You don't know? Okay, tell me, just say Sanskrit. Okay, very good. Thank you. Yes? You also know? No? Mama? You know? Say. No, you don't know. You Prabhus know? Yes? Say. Okay. Prabhu, in the back? No? Yes, you know. I know you know. Okay. Right? Everyone say it together. Anya Bilasita Sanyam. Jnana Karma Janavritam. Anoko Yena Krishna no. Shilanam Bhaktir Uttama. Translation. When first-class devotional service develops, one must be devoid of all material desires, knowledge obtained by monastic philosophy and fruitive action. The devotee must constantly serve Krishna favorably as Krishna desires. Right? Remember the definition, pure devotional service? Anukoyena means favorable. Right? Krishna, everything in relation to Krishna. And then Anushilanam. Right. Okay. Cultivation of service. Right? Here's the other verse. Do you know this verse? Huh? Go ahead. Oh, good, yeah. You've learned the verses. Where did you learn all these verses? Okay, good. Sarva Upadi. Upadi means designations. Sarva means all. So Sarva Upadi Vinirmukta. Give up all designations. Right? We don't designate ourselves. Brahmachari, Grihastha, Sannyasi, like that. It's upadis. We give up these. We said, Lord Chaitanya said, I am not. I'm none of these things. I am simply servant of the servant of the servant. So sarvapadi vinirmuktam tat paratvena nirmalam rishikesha sevanam bhakti uchyate. So bhakti or devotional service means engaging all one's senses in the service of the Lord. The master of all the senses, right? Krishna is Rishikena. Oh, no, Krishna is Rishikesha. And Rishikena means the purified senses. So Krishna is Rishikesh. Kesha. Rishikesha. Isha. Esha. Rishik Isha. Rishikesha. The master of all the senses. And Rishikena purifies senses. And when the spirit soul renders service unto the Supreme, two side effects. One is freed from all material designations, freed from all the upadis, and one's senses are purified simply by employed in the service of the Lord. Right? Sarvapadi vinirmuktam. Chant Sarvapadi vinirmuktam Tatparadvena nirmalam Rishikena rishikesha Sevanam bhaktiruchyate. Okay, these are two of the 4 memorization verses in the Nectar of Devotion. There are 4 verses to be memorized. We're revising 2 of the verses. No, we're not doing this assignment. No. Lesson 5, Sadhana Bhakti. Okay, 3 types of bhakti. What are 3 types of bhakti? Okay, good. You've got that. What are lahiris? Waves, right. So Bhagavad Bhakti Veda, varieties of devotional service. The first section, the northern part of the ocean. Remember, the ocean's in north, south, east, west, and we're looking at the Purva Vibhag. So began with the introduction in chapter 1 is the general description, and then chapters 2 to 16 are discussing sadhana bhakti. Then chapters 17 and 18 bhava bhakti, and then chapter 19 prema bhakti. So we're going to go on here, chapter 2. This is beginning the sadhana bhakti, the practice of sadhana bhakti. Who is qualified for devotional service? Talking about the eligibility for Krishna consciousness. Are you eligible? Right? We may say, are you eligible to become a devotee? So, what is the qualification? This is a quote here. This is from Giriraj Swami. senior disciple, Srila Prabhupada. If someone has a taste for hearing discussions of Krishna from Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam, he is eligible to engage in devotional service. But someone who has taste for mental speculation and or argument, he cannot enter into devotional service. Here, taste means Shraddha. Shraddha means faith, a combination of faith and attraction. So people have to be a little submissive to come to Krishna consciousness. If somebody's always arguing, why I have to do that, why, then that's not very good qualification for devotee. They're always challenging, arguing, and speculating. So, who is qualified? The reasoning may appear to be circular. One requires, to begin devotional service, you have